Hi, my name is Regina Clulo, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Populus, a platform for cities to manage the future of mobility. As transportation has continued to rapidly change, cities desperately need new digital solutions that empower them to more efficiently manage their curbs and streets. Services like Uber, Lyft, and goods delivery have radically altered how city curbs are utilized and have changed the flow of traffic in cities around the world. Currently today, most cities charge for access to parking, but with COVID, departments of transportation are looking to generate new sources of revenue that can keep their cities moving and solve key problems such as traffic safety, transportation climate emissions, and congestion. That's where Populus comes in. Populus is a platform that empowers cities to digitally manage and price for access to the public right-of-way, including city sidewalks, streets, and curbs. We're a secure data exchange that brings in data from private fleet operators for cities to use to develop data-driven parking policies. Through our platform, cities can then communicate new street and curb policies to private fleets, and then leverage geospatial data from those fleets to digitally enforce new parking policy and street pricing. Here's an example of how our platform is currently being used in cities around the world to digitally manage micromobility services, including shared bikes, scooters, and mopeds. On the left, what you see are anonymized and aggregated parking events in Arlington County. The county then put in place new policies, including preferred and restricted parking areas. And then through our platform, operators such as Bird, Lime, and Spin receive digital policies that they can then display to their riders in their own native rider experiences. In the case of restricted parking events, cities will often charge fees or fines associated with noncompliance with these parking policies. And operators then will typically geofence those parking areas so that their riders physically cannot end a ride in those areas without incurring significant fees. So in this way, cities have been able to really encourage the behavior that they want and then discourage the behavior that they don't want. In 2020, Populus had multiple pre-planned expansions to our platform to facilitate car sharing, goods delivery, and curb management. And what we found is that cities are moving even more quickly to reconfigure how our streets and curbs are used. From shared streets that are closed to cars so that they can prioritize bikes and pedestrians, to pickup and drop-off zones for food delivery, cities have been making changes that normally would have taken months in just a matter of days. Populus's key advantage in this space has been our founders' product market fit. Both I and our CTO are transportation industry veterans. We both graduated from top computer science programs and then have PhDs in transportation and city planning from MIT and UC Berkeley. Prior to forming Populus, we both were in key leadership positions at prior startups that have had successful exits. And one of the key reasons that Populus has really grown faster than any other competitor is our industry experience and relationships across the mobility ecosystem. Populus has grown to over 80 cities around the world in less than 2 years, and we are the system of record from Baltimore to Tel Aviv to tackle one of the largest market opportunities in the trillion-dollar smart city space, managing the future of mobility. It's great to be here as part of this plug-and-play event, and I look forward to your questions.
Thanks, Regina, for sharing how Populus helps cities to better manage their streets. And now we also have 1 minute for a quick Q&A. In the meantime, we are also running the poll to collect further discussion interest. So the question that I get for you is about, could you share a little bit more about the project that you have done with like about 80 cities around the world, and also how do your clients benefit from Populus platform? Is there any metric to measure like the ROI or the success of those projects?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I think that we are really fortunate also, even though we have significant industry experience, that in terms of timing, we launched our platform really right when cities needed it. When it came to micromobility services like shared bikes and scooters, cities around the world were grappling with the question of how do we manage all these vehicles that have arrived overnight? And we found that many of the cities we work with have much more positive programs and relationships with their citizens when they can effectively organize new bike lanes and parking areas. On top of that, most cities are actually utilizing our platform to validate the fees that they are then charging to mobility operators for access to the public right-of-way. I think we've seen in a number of the presentations and conversations here the issue of congestion and climate emissions. at Populus, we fundamentally believe, and a lot of transportation economists would believe, that the best way to manage that space is to put a fair price on it, and that will help you redistribute how that space is being used. And so that ROI is very obvious to cities. They can actually validate and charge fees through our platform to operators.
Thanks, Regina, for answering the question. Thanks a lot for your insight. Okay, cool, awesome. Thanks again for all the presentators for our startups, and deeply appreciate your presentations. So that's all of our 4 presentations for today, and we're running a survey to collect any feedback that you might have for this event, so that we can improve in the future and better connect different stakeholders within the smart city space.